Hello, welcome to Bible Made Easy for Kids Reading by Dave Strahler. It is day 14, day 13 of Lent, and we are going to be starting on page 125. Could I ask for something? Do you sometimes wonder what you can and can't ask God for? The Bible has many examples, like the ones below, of what people prayed for. If you are sincere about what you're asking for and believe that God can do it, He will give you the very best. Write your request on the lines below. Jesus said, "You may ask me for anything in my name, and I will do it." John 14:14. So just ask. The person who prayed for, and then the Bible verse. David, help. Psalms 30:10. Paul, healing. Acts 28:7-9. Solomon, wisdom. 2 Chronicles 1:10. Jesus, his friends. John 17:9 and 20. Hannah, a baby. 1 Samuel 1:27. Elijah, fire from heaven. 1 Kings 18:36-38. Jonah, his life. Jonah 2:1-2. Samson, strength. Judges 16:28. Samuel, reign. 1 Samuel 12:17. Nehemiah, success. Nehemiah 1:11. Sorry. Other words used to describe a prayer for something. Asking the Lord. Matthew 7:7. Calling on the Lord. Psalms 55:16. Pleading with the Lord. Daniel 9:3. Crying to the Lord. Psalm 118:5. Samuel hears a voice. Samuel, who was still a boy, lived at the temple in Shiloh and helped Eli the priest. Now the Lord had not spoken directly to anyone for a long time. Sorry. Eli, who was getting old and could hardly see, had gone to rest for the night. Samuel was lying in the temple tabernacle where the ark of God was. Suddenly, Samuel heard someone call him. He got up and ran to Eli. "Here I am. You called me?" But Eli said, "I didn't call you. Go back to sleep." So Samuel went to lie down again. Then the Lord said to Samuel a second time. The Lord called Samuel a second time. Again, Samuel got up and went to Eli. But Eli said, "I didn't call you. Go back and lie down." The Lord called Samuel a third time. Samuel got up as before and went to Eli. "Did you call me?" he asked. Then Eli realized that it was the Lord calling Samuel. So he said, "Go and lie down. If someone calls you again, then say, 'Speak, Lord. Your servant is listening.'" So Samuel went back to bed. The Lord came and stood there as before and called Samuel. Then Samuel answered, "Speak, your servant is listening." The Lord said to him, "I'm going to punish Eli for allowing his sons to carry on sinning here at the temple. No sacrifice will ever get rid of his guilt." In the morning, Samuel opened the doors of the temple as usual, but he was afraid to tell Eli what the Lord had told him. The Philistines captured the ark. Time passed, and Samuel became a prophet of the Lord. He told every word that came from the Lord, and everyone knew that God was speaking through him. One day, the Israelites went to fight against the Philistines, but they were badly beaten. Thousands of Israelites dead. When those who were left came back to their camp, their leaders asked one another, Why has the Lord allowed us to be defeated?" And then they had an idea. If we take the Ark of the Covenant into battle with us, it will surely help us to win. They said, instead of trusting God to help them, they were hoping that the Ark of the Lord would bring them luck. So they went to fetch the Ark in Shiloh. When they carried the Ark into the camp, the Israelite army shouted so loudly that the Philistines were afraid of what may happen. "We are in big trouble," they said. "A god has come into their camp. Who will save us now?" So the Philistines decided to attack the Israelites with all their might, hoping they still had a chance to win, and they did. That day, thousands of Israelites were killed. The rest ran back to their tents. The 2 sons of Eli, the priest, were also killed. What was worse is that the Philistines got hold of the ark and carried it off. When Eli heard what had happened, he fell off his chair and died as well. The ark in enemy hands. The Philistines took the ark of God to Ashdod and carried it into Dagon's temple. Dagon was the god of the Philistines. When the people living in Ashdod woke up the next morning, Dagon, their god, lay flat on his face. So they lifted up the idol and put it back where it had stood. But the next morning, Dagon again lay on his face in front of the ark. And this time his head and his hands had broken. The Lord punished the Philistines with a disease that spread among the people living in and around the city. When the Philistines saw what was happening, they said, "We must get rid of the ark before we all die." So they took the ark to the city of Gath, but the same thing happened there. Everyone in the city, old and young, got sick. So the people there sent the ark to Ekron, but the people there said, "Send it away before we also get that terrible sickness." Finally, the Philistines built a special cart on which to put the ark. And they got 2 cows to pull the cart. The cows walked straight to Beth Shemesh in Judah, where the Levite priest lifted the ark off the cart. Then they made a fire with the wood of the cart and sacrificed the cows. But some men from the town looked inside the ark, and they died. So the ark of God was taken to Kiriath Jearim, where it was kept at Abinadab's house. Were ordinary people allowed to see the outside of the ark? See Numbers 4, 5 through 6. I have it right here. When the camp is to move, Aaron and his sons are to go into town. When the camp is to move, Aaron and his sons are to go in and take down the shielding curtain and cover the ark of the testimony with it. Then they are to cover this with hides of sea cows, spreading a cloth of solid blue over that and put the poles in place. No, regular people were not allowed to see the outside. Actually, yes. Aaron and his sons were allowed to see the outside of the ark, but not the inside. Animals in Bible times. Animals had many different uses in Bible times, but sometimes they were used for the wrong purpose. Like when the Israelites, who should have known better, got oxen to pull the ark of God on a cart. See 2 Samuel 6 through 7. God had commanded that only priests were allowed to carry the Ark of the Covenant. The Bible tells us which of the animals could be used and for what purpose. Horses, camels, donkeys, they all are for transport, and transport only. Donkeys are for plowing. That is their second job. dogs, pets. Sheep, sacrificing and food. Cattle, sacrificing, food, and plowing. Goats, sacrificing and food. Pigeons and doves, only sacrificing. Mice, sorry. They don't really have a purpose in Bible times. Israel turns back to God. For 20 years, the Ark of the Lord was kept at the house of Abinadab. Meanwhile, the Israelites were sorry that they had turned away from God. So Samuel said to them, "If you really want to come back to the Lord with all your heart, then get rid of your heathen gods and idols. Make up your minds to serve only God, and he will rescue you from the Philistines." So the Israelites got rid of their Baal and Ashtoreth idols and served God only. They apologized to the Lord for their sin, for disobeying him and worshipping idols. When the Philistines heard that the Israelites had gathered at a place called Mizpah, they went to attack them. The Israelites were afraid, and they pleaded with Samuel to keep praying for them. So Samuel offered a sacrifice to God and prayed for the Israelites, and the Lord answered his prayer. Then the Lord made a very loud thundering noise that terrified the Philistines and made them panic, and in that way the Israelites were able to defeat them easily. The Philistines did not dare attack Israel again, and for the rest of Samuel's life the Lord had shielded his people by making life hard for the Philistines. Who were the Philistines? The Philistines were descendants of the Casluhites, Genesis 10:14, who came from Ham, the son of Noah, Genesis 10:1 and 6. Their country was called Philistia, where there were 5 big cities in Philistia: Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. Sorry. Israel wants a king. When Samuel became old, he made his sons judges over Israel. But the 2 sons were not like Samuel. They were dishonest and greedy. They were not fair when they were judged, and they often took bribes. The leaders, said to Samuel, "Your sons do not follow the Lord like you do. We want a king that, like all other nations have, then the king can be our judge." But Samuel was not pleased that the people were asking for a king. He thought it was the wrong thing to do, so he prayed and asked the Lord about it. The Lord said to Samuel, "Listen to the people. They are not pushing you aside. They are rejecting me as their king. This is what they have been doing from the day I brought them out of Egypt. Be sure to warn them and tell them about the rights of a king." Then Samuel told the people what the Lord had said, and warned them that it would not be like he warned them what it would be like to have a king. 1 Samuel 8:11-17. "The king will take your best fields, 1/10 of your grain, the best of your cattle and donkeys, 1/10 of your sheep and goats, your sons, and make them plow, your daughters, and make them cook, your servants, and you as slaves." As we turn onto this page, I realized that I was wrong on the dates. It is actually day 15 of the reading and day 14 of Lent. We are now going to continue the last page for today. The lost donkeys. There was a man from the tribe of Benjamin whose name was Kish. His son Saul was tall and handsome. One day, Kish sent Saul and a servant to go look for some donkeys that had got lost. So they set off and searched all over the countryside of Ephraim, and Benjamin, but they couldn't find the donkeys anywhere. Eventually Saul said to his servant, "Come, let's go back before my father starts to worry more about us than about the donkeys." But the servant replied, "Look, I know of a man in this town who is highly respected. Everything he says comes true. Maybe he can tell us which way to go." As they went up to the town, Samuel came walking toward them. The day before, the Lord had told Samuel that he would meet a man from the land of Benjamin. Samuel was too poor was to pour oil on his head and show that God had chosen him to be the king of Israel. When Samuel saw Saul, it's hard to say, the Lord said to him, "This is the man I told you about. He will rule my people." So Samuel invited Saul for a meal. Then he said, "Don't worry about the donkeys. They have been found. You should also know that Israel has put all its hope in you." Saul replied, "I am only a Benjamite from the smallest tribe in Israel, and my family is the least important in the whole tribe. Why are you saying this to me?" Samuel didn't answer, but after the meal he talked with Saul on the roof of his house. Early the next morning, Samuel blessed Saul and then sent him on his way. That was day 14 of Lent, day 15 of the reading, which I know now. Thank you all for listening to the reading today, and I hope you all have a very blessed day. I will now let my sister set up for her reading.
I hope you guys enjoyed my brother's reading. And today's Bible verse is 3 things that will last forever: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. 1 Corinthians 13:13. And that's it. I hope you guys had a good day. I hope you guys have a good day. And goodbye.